You guys today. Hopefully you're having a good Tuesday, or if you're on the other side of the world, it might be Wednesday. If you're watching this later, hope you're having a good day. And of course, as always, sorry, my phone started playing myself back so I could look at the comments. Anyway, if you're watching this later, of course, as always, put questions in the comments. I know I've gotten a ton, and I really try to get to you guys back in a timely manner, but I, of course, have other stuff that I have to get done throughout the day, so I am trying to make sure that I make time for those, and I want to make sure that I also give you really thoughtful answers, so thank you for bearing with me and being flexible on that information. As we come to a bit of a close in the next few days, I would love to hear more about what we could do for future workshops like this in the group especially, so that way you guys all have access to it. And then also something that we can do even maybe weekly or monthly, so you feel like you get some kind of value out of the group rather than just a one-stop shop to get feedback on your quiz. So without further ado, welcome back to 14 Days of Christmas. Today is day 11. I can't believe it's already been this long. I feel like time is just flying by me this year. But anyway, today what we're going to go over is a quiz implementation. So I have a couple of examples, and we're going to also go back into the builder so that way you guys can see what some of these look like. And on top of that, I don't have a way that I can actually show you guys how to put it into your web host, mostly because a lot of them work a few different ways, but I am going to show you the different types of ways you can put your quiz implemented on your site or through something like a Facebook ad. A couple of things that I want to note in terms of implementation, which I might reiterate when we talk about like tips and stuff in a couple days, but when you do implement your quiz, there's a couple different things that you want to think about when you are implementing it. So some of those things are going to be, is it visible to people? How visible is it? How visible do you want it to be? Who do you want to reach with this? Are you doing organic reach, or are you paying for like something like Facebook ads, Instagram ads, or Google ads, etc.? And also, I feel like I had something else, but it's escaping me right now. But pretty much it's what you want to think about. You want to think about stuff like that. And we are going to talk about benchmarks to look at once your quiz is running. But something to think about in that respect as well is you do want your quiz to run for some time before you start thinking about hitting benchmarks, mostly because depending on if it is organic or you are paying for ads, that all plays a part in what your reach looks like and how successful the quiz is, but also how long it needs to run for that time. And there isn't always really a magic number for your quiz to run, mostly because it's different for everybody, but you want to at least give it maybe at 1 or 2 weeks for it to start collecting leads, and then at least a month or so for it to start growing the way you want it to start growing. Hi, Rose. Thanks so much for joining us. I see your question in here. Let me read it really quickly. So, will this series be recorded and available somewhere? I have not been able to attend any sessions, but I recently bought my program. Nice. Welcome to Interact. Yes. So these are recorded. They are all in the Facebook group. So if you click on the quiz strategy topic, I believe it should be on the right-hand side of the screen. You'll see all of these in there. They are going to stay in the Facebook group. So I'm pretty sure I labeled all of them 14 Days of Christmas. So if you just search 14 Days of Christmas in the search bar, you should be able to find it in there as well. And just to give you a heads up and anybody else kind of popping in at this point, what I covered in the 14 Days of Christmas is mostly going to be surrounded around personality style quizzes. It kind of seems like a lot of people really like this, so I am having plans for future workshops. So if you guys have any type of ideas, that would be cool too, on what kind of topics you want to see. I know some people in there are interested about how to create a scored quiz, how to do the scoring, and different stuff like that. So those are some stuff that I'm ideating for the new year in terms of workshop-wise, so let me know what you guys think about that. Awesome. So for now, what I'm going to do is share my screen. Not that one, this one. Here we go. Have like 20 things open right now. Hi, Jessie. Thanks for saying hello. Okay, cool. So I have the builder opened up, and I have some tabs open up that you'll see and we'll go over in a second. This is a part where we're implementing our quiz. So kind of like I was saying throughout this whole process, this whole thing is up to you. So what we try to do is give you as many options as possible. So whichever way you decide to go, you're able to do so. What that pretty much means is, for example, some people don't like using pop-ups on their website, but some people do, but we have the option to use pop-ups. You don't have to use every single one, and you can pick and choose which one you want to use. So the stage that I'm at right now in my quiz, for example, is we're ready to put it up on our website. We're ready to promote it. There's a couple ways this can happen. I'm just going to click on this first one here. It's a template of ours. Say, this is your quiz. You just spent, some time actually creating it. You're at the stage now where you're like, this is exactly what I want it to look like. This is good to go. What you want to do is hit this publish button in the top right corner. It's going to pop up this screen. I'm trying to see in the playback video to make sure you can see that. It doesn't look like, wait. Yes, you guys can see it. Okay. Also, let me know if you can see things as we go along, because we do have some pop-up functions, but I'm not sure if the Zoom screen share is going to catch it. Anyway, so we hit our publish button, and what that means is when your quiz is already live, it's already running, you're sending it to people, people are taking it. Any edit that you make from there forward, you have to click this publish button because it's going to push those changes live. If you just click save and exit, it's more of in a draft form of that version, and it's just going to save within the builder, so people won't say that or won't see that. This is important because say you tweaked your result, or you tweaked how it gets sent to your email marketing platform, how it's tagged. It is not going to do that unless you hit this publish button. So I really want to emphasize the publish button a lot because I think it does get missed quite often. In a couple days when we do tech tips, I'm probably going to mention it again. So you're at this stage, it's telling you like, hey, you have some changes that are not yet public, which means it's not live. Publish your changes below to make these public or live, and publishing your quiz will redirect you away from the quiz builder. I don't want you guys to be afraid of this, because what it means by public is if your quiz is not running or shared, it's just pushing it. So when you do share it, it's going to be the latest version that you make it. So I'm going to click publish changes because I want it to be the most up-to-date as it is right now. I'm being redirected away from the builder, and what that means is it's going to send you to this page or this pop-up. Let me know if you guys can see this or not. I'm also going to check back. I think it is. Okay. So once you get to this page, we have a few different options here. And this is just letting us know like, hey, here are our options for actually getting your quiz out there and ready to send to people or for people to see. So you'll see we have a share link, which is a direct link to your quiz. We have an embed code here, or well, options, I should say, because it's not just one code. Announcement bar options, pop-up options, and Facebook ad option. Oh my gosh, tongue twister again. Facebook ad options. So I'm going to go through each and every one of them. If you guys have questions in the meantime, feel free to stop and ask me. I'm also going to show you some examples after this. So I'm going to try to breeze through this, these parts, so that way we have some time left for questions or anything like that. So a live link to your quiz. This is hosted on tryinteract.com. It's pretty much just a page with your quiz on it. Most people don't really like to use this one because it takes somebody away from their website, which is totally understandable. But also at the same time, it's a really quick and easy way to share your quiz. You just link to it on, your website, and then it gets sent straight to that page where the quiz is on. All you'd have to do for this is copy that link and share it wherever you need to go. Embed code options, we have a few in here, and keep in mind that when you are doing this part, there are some settings to keep an eye on when you are in here, and depending on how you make your quiz, some new settings will pop up, and I'll go over that in a second. So we have options for an iFrame code, which is really just a copy and paste. We try to make this as easy as possible. So you copy this and you put it into your web host if they take iFrame codes. Just keep an eye out for these embed options, for example, a custom embed size. If you don't put this on or turn this on and edit it, it will automatically do 800 by 800 pixels. Otherwise, you can come in here, you can edit that size, you can fit embed to container. I would just play around with what it looks like on your site before you launch it. I wouldn't just embed it in there and then just go with it. You definitely want it to make sure it fits. Sometimes it'll open up a scroll bar. People don't like a scroll bar. There's different things like that that can come up. So definitely keep an eye out when you are editing this part. Open quiz in a new tab on mobile devices. You can turn this on and on. It's just a toggle for you. And pretty much what that means is if they click start quiz, it's going to open up in a new tab. Otherwise, it will do it on that same page. Disable cover page on quiz. So what that means is, I think I actually have an example for you for this in a second, but it's pretty much just saying that they won't see that quiz title, image, and tagline, and they don't have to click start quiz. It'll automatically start them on that first question. An example that I actually have of that right here is from Primarily Pure, and I'll go more deeper into their quiz when I go over the examples, but when you click on their quiz, oh, sorry, it's right here. When you click on their quiz, it goes right into that very first question. You don't see the quiz title anymore. This is mostly done in terms of customization. So for customizational purposes, if people are like, hey, like I want to create my own cover page, I want it to look the way that I want it to look and not like the interact way. So they'll do something like this where it'll go straight into that first question, an option for you guys. Another option, if whatever web host you're using does not take iFrame codes, you also have the option for JavaScript. There are this pretty similar settings for this one. You can also auto resize for this, which is an option. I have seen instances where people will play around with both and see which one ends up looking better. Sometimes it also depends on the theme that you're using. If you're using, for example, WordPress has themes. It really just kind of depends. I recommend playing around and just seeing whichever one works best for you and whichever one looks the nicest on your website. And speaking of WordPress, if you click into here, we do have a plugin for WordPress. So there are instructions here. If you click right on this link, it'll take you straight to those instructions. You don't have to go searching for it, but it really is just inserting the plugin and it'll show up on your website. Something that I do want to point out in the settings, for example, what I meant by some will pop up based on how you edit your quiz. If you remember back when we were talking about results, I mentioned that you have the option to redirect your results. And what that means is instead of using our results pages, you would go, they would be sent to your website where you would create a landing page of that result. There will be an option that pops up here that says, do you want to open a new tab for redirect? And for the most part, you want to click yes. Otherwise, it will open up in that same iFrame code and it doesn't look the greatest. You want them to go to that new tab. So that's something to keep an eye out for. If we have some time at the end, I'll go ahead and go back to that, turn on redirect so you guys could see what that looks like. But I will also cover it in a couple days when we do tech tips too. So moving on to announcement bar, same idea. You're just putting in the code for the announcement bar to show up on your website. And with this, I would definitely keep an eye out for what the customization options are for the announcement bar. It entails a little bit more customization in terms of like setting what your colors are, what you want your announcement bar to say. Do you still want it to say take quiz for that button, or did you decide to do something else? Below here, an important part is a timer delay. So something that you have an option to do is set a timer so it doesn't show up immediately as they get to your website. Some people want it to show up in 10 seconds. Some people want it to show up in 30 seconds. For best practices, I usually say don't make them wait any longer than 30 seconds, because even 30 seconds feels kind of long, but mostly because you don't know how much time they're going to spend on your website. You want it to show up in really early in, but maybe not right as they get there. We have something called a hiatus, which means how many days do you want it to pop up again for this same person. So sometimes you'll get people who will see it and they'll be like, I don't want to take this quiz. They'll exit out that box. And you don't want it to show up for them every single time because it could leave a sour taste in their mouth. But you can set, say 1 or 2 days, maybe 4 days, 7 days. It's totally up to you before it shows up again on your site for that same person. You have options if you want the quiz to open in a new tab or you want it to trigger a pop-up, which would show up similar to how this box looks, right on your page, and it'll like darken the background. And some other stuff here, position, do you want it to push the web page content down? So as that announcement bar shows up here, do you want it to cover whatever's already up top for them, or do you want it to push everything down and it kind of does a little animation? Or you can do a fixed, which is it stays right on top. And then once again, you have the option to disable a cover page for this part. And then you can preview it. Another thing to keep an eye out for this, it might be a little bit more advanced if your quiz is meant for any type of lead generation for your business, but some people create quizzes for specific reasons. So you have the option to make your announcement bar show up on certain pages of your website or make it so it does not show up on certain pages of your website. So say, for example, you don't want your quiz to show up on your sales page or you only want it to show up on your sales page, you can set it for that. With your pop-up, the settings are pretty similar. It does the same thing. We have an embed code or a WordPress plugin for it. And then also your settings for color. Do you want a timer delay, disable cover page? Where do you want it to show up on your website? Another thing to keep an eye out for announcement bar and pop-ups, it only works for one quiz at a time. So you're going to turn this on and you're going to say, yes, I want it for this quiz. But say you have a second quiz you want to try to put it, try to do like a pop-up for, it's not going to work. Only for one quiz at a time. Let me know if you guys have any questions in the meantime. I know this is a lot of information. Once you get to Facebook ads, this part's pretty cool because you can actually preview what it looks like. We do also work with Facebook pixels if you are on our growth plan and up. So this is pretty useful because you can track not only how many people took your quiz, but also how many people came from your Facebook ad that you linked for your quiz. We also have the instructions for here. I'm gonna tell you firsthand that I've tried this once and Facebook ads are like really complicated. So if anybody has any tips on optimizing Facebook ads, I think would be pretty useful. I'll learn something myself. We do have setup instructions right here. It's pretty straightforward, but it's just kind of finicky, so keep an eye out for that. If you ever have issues with this, at this point, you probably would have access to live chat, so feel free to ask us any questions if you're running into any stumps. Something that I will say about Facebook ads is once you set everything up, it usually takes like 2 to 3 hours for it to fully process through like whatever Facebook does when it processes these. So it might not show up for some time. With that in mind, I would say don't do this last minute. Set it up when you still have some breathing room before you want your quiz to go live. It's going to also actually show you a preview of your quiz, so you'll see the tagline up here, the quiz title up here, and then you can click learn more, and then it'll show you like your company logo. If you change this image, it's going to update that image and show you what that looks like. So those are all of our options in terms of implementing your quiz. It's pretty straightforward. And then also, if you ever go to our help center, we have docs on how to use each and every one of these. And then also we have docs for how to implement on some of the main web hosts that we've seen people use. And what I mean by that is like WordPress, for example, Squarespace. I believe we have one for Wix, and so on. So take a look at that. Another way you can get to that page is if, say you're on here, you're like, I worked on my quiz last night and I just want to get this up and running. You can also just click share and embed right here, right for that quiz, and it'll take you to the same spot. Something that I didn't mention earlier is you can also share straight to social media from here. Nice. So if you guys have any questions that come up on that, I'll keep an eye out for it. Otherwise, I'm going to show you some examples of some of the quizzes that we have. And we have 10 minutes left, so get your questions in. Otherwise, I will respond to you through comments. So this is a quiz from one of our customers at Tonic Site Shop. I just love using them as an example because their quiz is so pretty. I also like their quiz. They did something really creative. They are a website like template builder. But their quiz is what's your brand cocktail? And they kind of they relate everything to some kind of cocktail that has to do with you. So I think it's really interesting how they do that. You'll see, for example, this is a cover page. This is actually not our cover page. So what they did is they created a different page that had a link to their quiz, and it goes straight into that first question within the same I'm going to assume this is an iFrame, but that I might be incorrect. I don't build websites, guys. So if I use the wrong language, please correct me. But it goes straight into that first question. So that's kind of what I meant by disabling the cover page. You have that option if you want your own look and you have your own style for what that looks like. This is also right on their homepage. So when you first get to their website, I'm going to go ahead and refresh this. I'm looking at their website. I'm scrolling down. They have some other info on here. And then you get to the middle of the page, and then there's the quiz. So this is an option for you. I've seen this done a lot of times where they have the quiz kind of laid out right in the middle, and you can go straight into that quiz and take it right there. That's totally an option for you guys. And it's one that works a lot. Sorry, I don't know what I just clicked. Moving on to this is one of our consultants. So this is her consultants page, and she has an example of her quiz. Hers is a little bit different because she has a see this quiz button, and then when you click on it, it takes you to her quiz, but in that quiz, in that Try Interact hosted link, the direct link that I showed you guys first. So I'm going to go ahead and click it so you guys can see what that looks like. This is an option for you. Like I said, it's pretty simple. The quiz is already laid out right here. If you edit the colors throughout your quiz, this whole page will just show whatever that color is, whatever colors you decided to use. The only thing that I would say is just keep in mind that if you do feel like people should stay on your website, then this might not be the best option for you, but it is a pretty good option because it's super easy to use. You just take the link, you copy it in there, you can create the button. This is another one of our consultants that I pulled up. She's had her quiz up for forever, so I love using her as an example too. This is her homepage. So when I go to her homepage, I scroll down just a little bit. You'll notice she actually has her quiz up higher on her website. I don't really have numbers on what works best where. It really is just a matter of what you test out and what ends up working with your audience. I wouldn't say this is also the only way they show up or they show their quiz. I'm sure they also promote it in other ways through social media. They probably let people know if they sign up through another form somewhere on their website. But it is pretty important to make sure you have your quiz somewhere on your website. I usually recommend the homepage, so that way people can easily know it's actually you and it's a legitimate quiz that they're taking and they're not just taking some random thing and they're not really sure about it. Oops, sorry. So you'll notice hers is higher, and similar idea, take the quiz. When you click on hers, it's a little bit different than the last one that we saw, right? Because it does still take you to that quiz, but this is actually embedded into a landing page on her website. And then it kind of goes through the same process of start this quiz. This is our cover page, so she just embedded the quiz in there. But this is also an option too. So if you liked the way this kind of worked where you clicked a button and it went to a page, but you want your own URL, you can embed it into its own landing page and do something similar where you link to that landing page. Another one of my consultants here, so hers, when you get to her homepage, scroll down, hers is a little bit farther. But kind of similar to the first one that we saw where it's still on the home page and it has everything of quiz title, tagline, all on there. So it's almost as if the quiz is there. This is also not our cover page, so I'm sure she did something similar where take me to the quiz and it opens right into that first question. And the last one that I wanted to show you guys was the one that I clicked on earlier. This is one of our customers, Primally Pure. I think I talked about this yesterday. I love their quiz because I don't know, it's just really well done for e-commerce. But pretty much if you start off on their homepage, they have, this is an e-commerce like shop. So they have their products, and you go straight into, you know, who they are, what they offer, shop now. But if you look at their sections up top and you click on skin quiz, it takes you to this page, and they do something a little bit different, I think, than what everyone else did. And you see that this is actually at the top of that page. It tells you a little bit about what that quiz is, and you click take the quiz. This is a link to the quiz that's embedded. So now we're on a landing page where the quiz is embedded into this landing page, and they just kind of removed that extra click of the cover page and went straight into the first question. So these are some different options that I've seen. If you decided to use a pop-up, it would pretty much just pop up on the first page. I wasn't able to find any examples off the top of my head, so I wasn't able to show you guys what that looks like. But essentially, that's what it does. It works really similarly to what you already know of as an announcement bar or pop-up. It would just be as if, you know, for example, this quiz popped up in a window right here, and you're going to start taking the quiz there. I also couldn't get an example of a Facebook ad because it's also a lot harder to find, but it pretty much looks exactly how I showed you in here of what that looks like and what that example looks like there. If you ever look at some of our case studies, we actually have some people who have used Facebook ads, so they might have some screenshots in there that you can take a look at. I always recommend going to our website and seeing our examples that we have on here, so that way you can get an idea of what other people are doing for implementation. Let me actually just click this. I have a couple minutes here, so if you guys have any last minute questions, feel free to pop them in there. I want to go to live examples. So here's some of our live examples that you guys might find. I'm just going to, oh my gosh, I don't know why I didn't think of this. That's pretty much how our pop-up works, is if it were to just pop up like that, it shows up on the screen, darkens everything in the back. But I definitely would say take a look at some of these and go to their websites and just take a look at how they implemented their quizzes. And that way you guys can get some different ideas of how people do it. Of course, also ask in the Facebook group, I think, is a great place to see what other people are doing, or if anybody has any insight on how this works. If you do want to run into any trouble and you are on a paid plan, you can, of course, always reach out to live support and then ask some questions there. All right, guys, that's all I have for today. Let's see here. So from today, we only have 3 days left for 14 days of Christmas. We've gone through everything for creating your quiz at this point, and implementation and what all of that looks like and entails. What I'm going to start moving into is the post-quiz stuff. So I'm going to go back into some tech tips that I have for you. So I'm going to emphasize again stuff like the publish button, where you can find certain buttons on our website and find some help on our website while you're in the builder. And then I'm going to go into understanding your analytics, how you read that. We'll talk a little bit about some benchmarks. I know I briefly mentioned it at the beginning of our training today, but I will go over that more in depth tomorrow. And then, sorry, not tomorrow, in 2 days. And then on the last day, I'll go over our pricing plans. We'll talk a little bit about any straggling questions that you guys have had. And then also, if you guys have any feedback, I'd like to encourage it again. Let me know if this is working, if this isn't working, what information you'd like to know, or what kind of workshops you'd like to see. All right, well, that's it for me, guys. I will see you tomorrow. Have a great day, and thanks again for sticking through this with me. And once again, these are all recorded and in the Facebook group, so you will have access to it even once the 14 days are over. All right, thanks, guys. Bye.